We'll see. All right.
Hey,
Hey, what
how's it
is up,
going?
dude? Man, it's
Hey,
good. How are you, dude?
I'm great, man. I'm great. I'm great.
Awesome. Awesome. Look, I appreciate, first of all, to say, appreciate the time today. This
Yeah,
is this
man.
is so sick, man. I've been absolutely loving the Jarhead. I've been loving the
Yeah,
new Full of Hell. And I'm going to be seeing you guys in Detroit for the first time, actually, with
amazing.
Full of Hell.
Yeah,
So
it's gonna be
sadly,
it's
I
gonna be a killer. Yeah, yeah. What'd you
Yeah.
say? Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I just missed you with Jarhead. You
Yeah,
played the Sanctuary in Detroit
yeah,
probably
yeah,
a couple months ago.
yeah. I love that venue. Yeah, it was an amazing show. It was really good. It's one of the best for sure. Yeah,
That,
Detroit's awesome.
did,
Yeah,
did that whole run went well then?
yeah, yeah, yeah. The whole
Damn.
run went amazing. That's yeah. It was an awesome tour. That's like the first tour back for the most part. So
Okay. Sorry, my connection. I had to take off my Wi-Fi for some reason was fucking
oh
up.
yeah,
So
no,
hopefully
no
that's
worries,
better.
no worries. Yeah, 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 yeah. Just went out for a second, but yeah, that was an amazing tour. I mean, it's just like
Okay.
all friends, everybody's really cool. And I think two shows didn't sell out, so it was awesome. It was such a good tour. Yeah, couldn't ask for
Holy,
something
it
better
didn't
for a
you said?
Jarhead. Yeah, yeah, two didn't. So yeah, it went really
Fuck,
well. It went amazing. Yeah, I'm really
man.
excited for this March tour. It's gonna be a
Dude,
ripper for sure.
it was funny. It was one of those things too, kind of something that we're going to be digging into as far as album artwork. I was just kind of running through a record shop, and after that tour, had heard a Uniform. I'd never heard Uniform before, and so I was like,
Oh
I've
yeah,
got to go check
they're
this shit out, and
amazing.
picked up one of their
Yeah,
records, and it's
yeah.
going to be awesome, man. I'm stoked for that
Yeah,
fucking
that
show.
lineup is insane as well. It's just like it's
Ridiculous.
perfect. It's a perfect
Yeah.
tour. Yeah, yeah. I'm very excited. I mean, we lost that one tour, but the way actually getting this tour was, I personally think it's better. So I'm more excited for this than vice versa being on tour in February. It's cool. It's cool.
It's sick too because it's like a small run. It's kind of
Yeah,
one of for the bill and for the package that it is. It seems like it would have been fucking across continents and all this shit. And it's like
yeah.
it kind of makes
No,
it that much more special. It being this
yeah.
small run.
I'm happy about that actually because I really don't want to tour more than a month for the most part. After 4 weeks, it's like, all right, it's
You're like,
monotonous after that. You know what I mean? It's like I can't stand being around people. You know what I mean? I'd rather 1 month is all I need for people. That's it.
yeah, nice, nice. All right, well, let's dig into this here. Here on Growing on You Live, I have one introduction question. Then we're gonna, continue on, your path in music and interests and drum playing and all. But first of all, let me ask you. My wife and I do some traveling. If we were coming through Ocean City or surrounding areas, what would be a local eatery that you would say we would have to try? What's
Oh yeah,
something local or something, like special to you guys?
yeah. So I mean, we got some good restaurants around here. It's pretty far and few, to be honest. It's so tourist town. There's a lot of junk food everywhere, but uh, there's one place I live in, like right outside Ocean City. It's like the direct town out of it. It's called Berlin, Maryland, and
Okay.
there's one restaurant out here. It's Boxcar. It's really cool. It's called Boxcar 40.
Oh shit.
That one's
Okay.
really good. That's all. It's all just like they had the best like shrimp and grits for the most part. You know what I mean?
Oh
Ever,
damn,
and
man.
yeah, that I ever had probably. And in Ocean City, there's this place. Liquid Assets is really good. That's really good to eat at. It's just awesome food. Every style of really good food you can think of. The seafood
Damn.
risotto
Okay.
is like amazing. That's the spot. Besides that, it's just like everybody has to have crabs if they come here. You know what I mean? If it's the summertime, it's like people usually come and get crabs.
Okay.
There's
Okay.
crabs everywhere. There's at least 30 spots to get crabs at. And
Now
while
you
you're in
said
Ocean City.
you said shrimp and grits. Is that like a meal? Like shrimp and grits together?
Yeah, it's like grits. It's like cheesy grits, and then
Holy
like
fuck. Never heard of it.
it's shrimp. Yeah, shrimp and shrimp on top, and then it's like kale with like pork in it in the middle. It's banging. It's awesome. It's like yeah.
Yeah. God
I was
damn.
doing culinary for a little bit, and the guy that owns the restaurant. Yeah, it's his like specialty. So he
Oh
kills it.
damn.
This dude. Yeah, Paul Suplee. I
Okay.
give his son drum lessons.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
man.
mean that particularly, I've never even fucking heard of that. So I would.
Yeah,
I
no,
hope to
shrimp
get
and
over
grits.
there and check that out.
It's the move. It's the move for sure.
Sweet. All right, let's dig into some musical interest first of all here. First off, bring us back to some of the bands that your brother ruined from blasting out his boombox. I heard you
Yeah, yeah.
mentioning this in an interview, and maybe some of the shit that you picked up on and actually gained some interest in, and then other shit that is just completely ruined. What
Oh
comes to
yeah.
mind?
Well, my brother also listens, just puts on like real, he put on real bad stuff and be drunk and fall asleep with like the door locked, you know what I mean? So it'd be some good things. There'd be some good things. Like he'd be playing like Slayer, like Suicidal Tendencies and stuff, and then he'll be playing some like rap or something. This is like a recurring thing of like months of my life being having to sleep with like a full blown stereo next to your wall when I lived at my parents' house. But you know, he played good stuff and then like some rap, you know, DMX or something like that, and you know what I mean. But he'll fall asleep
Okay.
just leaving that shit turned all the way up. I'll say there. He got me into some certain things, like you know, like I said, like suicidal tendencies or something, and like I don't know. There's a handful like you know like Metallica and stuff like that, like Kill 'Em All. But then he'll play like real bad shit, like New Age Metallica, like Saint Anger or something like that. I'm like, damn, this is crazy. You know what I mean? So there's some shit that he's ruined, some shit that mainly it was okay, but you know what I mean. You should he could anything could be ruined if you're trying to sleep during it. You know what I mean?
Right, right. Kind of adds to some of the lure of like, when you're 15 and leaving for tour, you're like, you know what, man, this is the fucking last straw here. I'm fucking out of here.
Yeah, no, it's true, it's true, it's true. Yeah, yeah. So there's a lot that
Yeah.
he ruined, but there's a lot that was.
Let's see. This is being fucking goofy. Did I got you again?
Yeah, yeah, good. We're good. We're good
All
now.
right. Okay. Cool. 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 All right. Yeah. So touching on that a little bit, as far as you've mentioned Hello Waits being the first CD that you ever bought.
Yeah.
Bring us back to your local record shop or music shop and discovering an album off of the cover art. What comes to mind as far as something that just stood out to you that maybe you discovered the band, had never heard the album? What comes to mind with that?
Yeah, definitely. I'll probably say like that was definitely the first CD that was like that for me. Hello Waits was for sure. That was like I was like a kid and my dad's with me and I was like, oh, you know, I like this. And he's like, okay. And the dude's like, yeah, the guys, this is place Sound Odyssey. That's what it was called. It's like there's no record shops left. There's one opening now in the town that I live in, Berlin, right outside Ocean City. But in Ocean City, we haven't had a record store in like 15, maybe a little less than 15 years now. So
Damn, really? Oh,
yeah. I mean, you'd have to drive like 30 minutes away to go to a
oh,
record
okay.
shop, but Sound Odyssey was the place, and the dude that worked there was like the sickest guy. He would always just be like, "Here, listen to this," you know, and give me. I think convert. I got a Converge CD there when I was real young. Like
Oh, shit.
man, he gave me the Hellfest DVD. That was like one that's something I
Yes.
saw. Yeah, as a kid, I was like, "Oh, I want this," and so I got that. Opened me up to like endless things. I think for a lot of people, probably around my age, so it's. I was definitely really young to get that CD, but or that DVD, and that like changed my life for the most part. Was definitely the Hellfest DVD. I mean, there's so many good bands like I've got from that, like I don't know, just tons of hardcore like Locust and stuff like that. Things that like opened me up to like a bunch of other shit that I really like today. So that's it's cool for that. But then the Slayer DVD, or the Slayer CD was one of those CDs you could pop inside your PC, and it'll give you like you could download a screensaver. So it's like as my parents, I must have been like 11 or something like that. My parents, obviously I downloaded that screensaver, and it's just somebody getting Slayer carved into their arm over and over again. And my parents come down and like in the middle of the night after I like had that on there, that's all they see, and they're like, "What the fuck is going on?"
I mean,
That's funny.
were there boundaries with either of them where it was like, okay, man, this is a little too far. Like let's take it back a little bit.
Not with my dad, but my mom was a little, I don't have like conservative parents or anything
Sure.
like that. They're very, very like down to earth, cool people. But at the same time, my mom was definitely like freaked out by that. Her 11-year-old kid having like, you know what I mean, like somebody carving some shit into their arm and like pentagrams like flashing on the screen and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it's
Oh,
I definitely had some cool parents though. They let me do whatever I want for the most part. For the most part,
totally.
as long as I'm not in jail, that's cool. You know what I mean?
Totally. Nice, nice. That rules. I love that too. That's fun. I never knew that the Slayer CD did that. I guess there was like different things, as far as like maybe secret songs and different shit like that. But I don't ever remember any of my CDs doing like special shit like that.
I
I
know.
mean,
This is a real. I still have the CD. It's pretty crazy, and I didn't know that it did it either. It didn't have like something on the packaging that was like, oh, DVD. It's like the CD played as a DVD as well that you can download a screensaver off of the CD format. It's the weirdest shit ever. And it doesn't
Oh
have it
shit.
anywhere. And as a kid, I was like, oh, I'm going to just put this in my computer and download all the songs so I can put it on my iPad. You know what I mean? So that, from that, I was like, holy shit, you mean I can have a screensaver as well? I was like, oh, this is the best. You know? I think I got a Beastie Boys CD with that as well. And that one is like,
Oh
it was
damn.
explicit, so that's the one that was getting me in trouble. Was like hearing this Beastie Boys CD, screaming through my boombox.
Nice, nice. I mean, does anything come to mind with like secret songs? As far as popping in a CD and then the last track going on for 15 minutes, you're like, what the fuck is at the end of this? And then finally, like
Yeah,
something popping up.
yeah. I'm trying to think of. I know I've had some CDs like that. I just can't even, off the top of my head, I can't bounce one off the top of my head right
Yeah.
now. But yeah, that's probably the coolest like pop in CD. I know I'm trying. There's definitely some other CD
I was talking with
DVD
someone
combos.
recently. They mentioned "Follow the Leader,"
Oh,
Corn.
okay.
You know,
Yeah,
the end of that
that's
one.
Woodstock '99 is a good, you know what I mean? That was a life changer for me when I was real young as well. Like being like, oh, like seeing this shit on like TV and stuff. I was like, wow, this is insane. That's probably where like some new metal bands that I was real young. Everybody has that like phase, I guess. And I was probably
Right.
catching the tail end of new metal. So like there was definitely I got like a stack of CDs from my dad at one point, which is like Wu Tang, but like also crazy shit like, uh Cold Chamber and like Corn and Limp Bizkit and stuff like that, things like that. I was like, oh, to me, I was like, this is the coolest shit. But I got some cool stuff. Black Sabbath was my number one when I was a kid, younger. I
Sweet.
think for a lot of people, it's like my dad was his favorite band, so of course
Okay.
I picked that
Okay.
up.
Sure, sure. So as far as from having an interest into music into playing, where does your first drum kit come to mind, or come to, and what kind was it? What was it?
Yeah, it was so I got a Tama oh, what is it called? Imperial Star, I think that's what it is. Yeah,
Oh
it's
shit!
the drum set is I still have it. It's awesome. It's like it was like a light blue. It's 24-inch kick, 12, 13, and 18-inch floor tom actually. And
Damn.
I remember I got it like I must have been. I had my parents had got me like a toy drum set when I was a kid. Like 3 or 4 years old because from when I was like, the start of from birth, I was pulling out pots and pans and like making my own drum set, I guess as soon as I can figure out, or if I didn't even know if I even knew about what a drum set was, but that's what I would do. So my parents eventually got me like, one that said like rock around the world or something like when like little like being a kid, you know what I mean, like it's probably like a 16-inch bass drum, like a baby drum set. But then
Right.
I must have been like 8 years old is when I got the first one. And I think it was just some person my uncle knew, some crackhead down the street that was selling his drum set real cheap. You know what I mean? So my parents are like, I picked it up for me one for Christmas. And I sent pictures of it actually, me like playing when I was a kid of that. But
Damn.
that was, yeah, that's the first drum set. I still have it. It's a nice ass drum set. I think I looked it up online now. It's like $1,200. Some of them, they go for
Dude.
it's like one of the best sounding drum sets I've ever still to the day had. And the
Do you
24-inch kick is really nice too.
do you ever use use it at all or no?
I use the 24-inch kick sometimes for some stuff.
Okay.
That's the only thing that I use out of it, but it's not so much anymore. I don't use it
Okay.
that much. But the 24-inch kick I'll use for like weird stuff, like like use that as like a tom if I'm just like messing around at home or something because it's set up pretty crazy right now. So I'll use that. But
Okay.
for the old kits, I pretty much still just use the D drum kit that I play on right now. And that's like the main kit I just always play on. I want to get a new one. I'm ready. I'm ready now. I think like it's probably like every 3 years or something. I'm trying to get a new drum set.
Shit. Yeah,
Yeah.
so with that first drum kit though, what were some of the first, like the first tracks or first albums that you were trying to, play along to and kind of learning the chops of everything?
Yeah, I was just Black Sabbath, Black Sabbath. That was like that and
Oh yeah.
Sabotage as well. That was another one that I like. Like I had every Black Sabbath CD, so I would just sit there and try to learn every single Black Sabbath song for the longest time. That was it, for the most part for me. And then I started eventually kind of taking lessons a little bit, and I started messing around with some drum books and stuff like that.
Okay.
That's pushed me pretty farther than I think than most of the like learning songs from other people. Like there's like what Virgil Donati book was really good for me. Then there's a lot of hand exercises books as well that I just like kind of went through. Yeah, that progressed me farther, I think, than like learning a bunch of other songs. But I got the Slayer CD too. That's what pushed me to go like fast. That's when I was like,
Okay.
oh, okay, I want to play. Yeah, I just want to keep playing as fast as possible. You know what I mean? And, taking time, but yeah, it's that is Slayer and Black Sabbath are the two people to mimic for me. Bill Ward and Dave Lombardo are like gods in everybody's eyes. So.
And hella weights too, man. That's a fucking tough go, especially for trying to be young and like ambitious and I can get this. It's like that's a tough one to go along with, man.
No, it's a tough. It's a really fast Slayer one. You know what I mean? And then you get into more other stuff like South of Heaven and stuff like that. But that hella weights is real fast. That's for sure.
Still classic.
Yeah.
So, from earlier on, as far as what, touching on, just kind of firsts with different things here is as far as like a first show, a first band and different things like that. Tell us about your first show. How did that go? Were you playing like a talent show type thing? Did it go well? Were you nervous? How did that go?
I think I did the first thing I ever did was like like in town there was like a drum solo competition, That's the first thing I had ever done, and I think I got like third place, so I was like pretty bummed. I was like, damn, like these church kids beat me. I'm like, these fucking like, you know what I mean? I was like, all right, whatever. So like the the next show that I played was Full of Hell. Actually, it was the first show I ever played. I was like, I must have been just turned 15 at that time, and I was pretty nervous to play a show. And I had a drum set, obviously, but I was using like at the time the first singer Full of Hell was using his drum set, and I remember we're playing, and my bass drum pedal got disconnected from the bass drum, and then the bass drum leg on the like one side just completely came undone, so the bass drum just straight up rolled away from me. And that was like, so that's my first show experience, is like me trying to play and not really messing up, but the whole bass drum straight up just rolled away. That was like, it's the first Full of Hell show ever. It's at a church in Berlin, in my town, actually. Yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, do you just keep on playing like this didn't just fucking happen?
No, I never stopped. Until this day, I mean, you can't stop, you know what I mean? If anybody stops, when everybody's pissed off at that guy, if you just stop playing the whole song, I'd rather have no bass drum and still like act like I'm playing, you know what I mean? And it's happened to me before, I mean, there's plenty of mishaps that happen when this shit comes off of your whole kit comes discombobulated and all this,
Oh my God. I mean, I've had cymbals and shit fall over, but never a fucking drum roll away. Oh my God. That is insane.
It's a good first show experience, I'll tell you.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing too, when you're young and when you're, still learning the ropes of everything too, like at least it's happening then, it's one thing if you're on like a huge tour or some shit like that. It's like, fuck, how'd I let that happen? But
no, I know.
I tried to.
Yeah, you gotta get it out of the way. Now I'm pretty prepared. I don't want to say that I'm always fully prepared, but anything could happen. But I'm pretty prepared now. I could catch myself if something falls down, falls over, or I drop a stick, whatever. I'm pretty on point about fixing that stuff.
That's fucking ridiculous. So what comes to mind as far as like an early tip, so from being young, traveling around and going around and meeting, tons of different musicians and things like that, what might have been an early tip that you received from maybe a seasoned, a musician, that's something that you might still carry with you today?
Damn, that's a good one. I'd say I probably just like my stamina, there's some people like give me like tips on like, hey, don't go so hard, like from the first second to the, which is like, I still won't, it's hard to listen to that for me, because I can't play, like playing in a controlled manner is way harder, but I've definitely had some people be like, hey, if you just like, you'll be able to continue to play like blast beats on point if you just don't like try to like ruin yourself from the first song, you know what I mean? So from a drummer's standpoint, stamina is the best tip anyone's ever gave me, you know what I mean? Totally. That's like practicing too, because I used to never practice. I was just lazy, and Now if I don't practice every day, I feel like something's off, something's weird,
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And with that, I mean, that is something too that because getting in a live setting and getting in front of people, and kind of prepping yourself, then going up, it's like it seems like it never fails. Where even in the back of your mind, you're telling yourself like slow down or
Yeah.
like calm down a little bit, and it's just like it just gets fucking out of hand.
No, I still all the time. I'm like, I'll get done a set, and sometimes they'll look at me and they'll be like, "That was really fast this time." Like I'll speed. So by like the end of a tour, I'll speed up Full of Hell songs maybe like 3 times as fast. It's definitely like
God damn.
yeah. There's certain songs that I've like really had to make myself slow them down just because it just ruins the whole song. You playing it so fast.
Mm-hmm. Where did you end up developing, as far as maybe like the foundation for playing blast beats? I know you mentioned Dave Lombardo and Black Sabbath, being earlier, heavier influences, but where does that, more extreme, playing come into play?
Yeah, there's two bands I think that were important for me playing really fast, which was Converge would be one of them. Just I remember being that's probably like the next band after Slayer. I was like, oh shit, this is really fast. But Napalm Death is like the number one. That's where I was like,
Oh
oh
yeah.
okay. So Mick Harris is like you know my drum idol for the most part. So I always wanted to play like him. When I heard Napalm Death for the first time, I must have been like 14 or something, getting a CD, and that's where I was like, oh shit, like I want to play like this fast, And that Napalm Death is like from Dave Lombardo. That's Mick Harris is like the next step of like, damn, I want to play
Yeah.
fast as shit. And I see other, and getting older and seeing other dudes just like George Calais and stuff like that. You obviously are always just like from a technical standpoint, like, oh shit, that's insane. That's probably where I was like maybe more influenced from wanting to start double bass. That's
Oh,
from
okay.
that point as well. But there was a while in Full of Hell it was just single bass, and I like reverted more to like jazz style rather than having like a big ass drum set that I have now. I've definitely like tripled the size of from what I used to play. I did one tour with just one cymbal as well, just one two like a hi hat and just one ride crash, and that was the whole tour. I just played on that, But now I
Oh
can't even
shit.
imagine doing that. I could do it, but it would be pretty nutty.
Transition's a little weird.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. With the, as far as so from earlier on, even through today, what goes into your pre-show ritual as far as getting ready to go out and play? And I know it's different, with Jarhead as opposed to Full of Hell, because then you're also singing too, But as far as your playing and from a a stamina standpoint, do you have certain things that you do before you go out and play?
Yeah, it's mainly stretching for the most part. That's usually the stretching the whole body for like a whole hour for that. There's tons of weed that I smoke before I play. Maybe an Adderall, and I'll have some shitty energy drink as well to top her off, and I'll pace around for like you know
What a
I'll stretch
blend.
for an hour. I'll pace around for an hour on top of that, and then maybe there's like 30 minutes of pad warming up between my feet and my hands of just different exercises, just going through the motions. That's every time. And Jarhead is a
Ugh.
little different because I'm focused on that, but then I'm also just worried like, damn, I hope I just don't get up there and my voice cracks or some shit, or like sometimes it's just a whole different game. Sometimes I'm just like, you can get tired pretty easily from doing vocals and playing drums at the same time. It's just like it's weird. It's like Full of Hell, I think it's just more technical in the drumming part. So
Mhm.
I'm always pretty tired from that, you know what I mean? But man, there's sometimes where I just like, as soon as I get done one Jarhead song, I'm like ready to throw up, just like just flexing my stomach so much, you know what I mean? Or like being just like too like a little nervous about it. I'll just be like, oh God, that's the one that it used to be Full of Hell where I used to puke sometimes while we're playing, where I just like
Oh
I
God.
get overexcited, I try too hard or something and not thinking about it and not catching my breath like I should be. And by the end of a song, I'll be like turned around, keeled over, just like fuck. But Jarhead definitely makes me throw up harder now. Now I'm like, fuck. Sometimes, I mean, it's gotten a lot better from this last tour we did. But for the most part, Jarhead's always playing one-off, so it's cool to go on tour because my stamina was very good by the end of it, you know. But those one-offs sometimes, Jarhead, it's like, whew, man, I realize how out of shape you are. It's like, you know, just
I
go
can
play one
imagine.
weekend and not ready to do vocals or anything. It's just like, God damn, catches up with you sometimes, you know.
Was it something, I guess, from your earlier stuff, and having more of the highs as far as vocal wise, and then with this new album, coming out and it being, in the works for some years, and everything being more guttural and being lows, was that something, aesthetically you're going in and kind of thinking that you wanted to change up a little bit, or was it just, better for the sound of what you were doing now?
Yes and no. I also like must have, Jarhead's been a band for like 10 years now. So
Yeah.
it's been a while. And I started it when I was a kid for the most part, just like at his band that I wanted to start, that I wrote everything, played all the instruments, and not, but, obviously everybody has a role in it and they play live, but I wanted, I wanted to write my own style of something, you know what I mean? So, and I
Hmm.
wanted to do drums and do vocals at the same time, but I think I've probably somewhat hit puberty at a second stage, or maybe it's my first stage. I have no idea. But between that and now, my voice does not go that high. It just doesn't happen. You know, like the lows is awesome, but it's the next Jarhead LP. I'll try to do both, but drumming and doing vocals, the switch between highs and lows, it's like it's pretty difficult. I'm not gonna lie. It's not it's what it is that like the highs make my voice just shit out completely. You know, I could do lows like that nonstop, no problem. I'll be fine for a whole set. But those high pitched vocals, man, it's just like they ruin me. That's it. They're like I can't, and I've tried to do it, and it doesn't. It sounds hilarious nowadays, just because I think I my voice is trained not to do that anymore. So
Yeah. Okay.
there's a lot of people that ask all the time, like, "Oh, why don't you do that?" Or "Why do you guys completely change your sounds?" Like, the album was written for like 6 years before it came out, so it was already gonna be like that. But like the vocal stuff is like actually out of my hands.
Yeah.
That's what
Okay.
I mean, for the most part.
And I mean, I think it complements. Honestly, I don't think it's anything that was so jarring where it's like, oh, what the hell is this? Or it sounds like anything completely different. But I just didn't know as far as if it was something kind of coming from the earlier splits that you guys did, and then having this where it was vocally completely different.
Yeah, no, definitely the vocals are very different on it. I like it, personally.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Full of Hell already does high vocals, so we don't need you know what I mean, to have another clone or something, right? So,
Okay. All right. I can appreciate so touching on that, as far as some of your earlier memories with Full of Hell, and you mentioned, kind of coming in and playing that first show. What's some of the earlier stuff you remember writing with the band? Something that maybe Spencer brought to the table and you sat down and started working with him.
yeah, the really the first demo that's like, I don't even know if it's available online or anything. Full of Hell. That was someone else played drums on it, just like a
Hmm.
local fill-in musician for it. And the first stuff I really worked on with Spencer was the inevitable fear of existence. That 7 inch. It's like the first Full of Hell 7 inch. That's you could still find kind of, and that
Right.
that was the first thing I really he brought, and we all worked on together. And Dylan had just joined by that point, so that was like the first record that he also was on. That, and we did a split with this band Gold Dust in Germany as another thing that with that, like, I worked on with Spencer. But it's really, he's always writing the riffs for Full of Hell, and it's just
Yeah.
me, placing the drums to it, making my own style for it. So that
Okay.
the inevitable fear of existence is the first one for sure.
Okay. Okay. When going into writing new material, do you generally just slap out what it is that you're going to end up playing that's going to be on the record, or is it something where you go home and kind of work on over and over and kind of fine tune? How does that process go for you?
Me and Spencer are pretty good together. We he'll come to my house and we'll bust out 2 or 3 songs writing within one practice, usually of like an hour long or something like that. So with that, it's completely different than the writing process for Jarhead. But for Full of Hell, I definitely, it's pretty easy, and it's usually me and him will just bust out a song. Maybe it'll get changed a little bit from when we write it to when we record it on the album, But for the most part, it's, we're really fast usually with writing. It's easy for me and Spencer. Jarhead's much harder because I do it all myself. So at this point, I'm programming drums to whatever I, think, just to demo stuff out, or I'll record drums myself, and write guitar over. Usually Jarhead always starts with drums, where it's opposite for Full of Hell, where it starts with guitar
Oh,
first.
really?
Yeah, yeah. Jarhead's always like, I always have something in mind, at least riff wise or something. But I always have a specific drum beat that riff will have to go to, and I'll usually mess around with the riff over the drum part for a while before it actually becomes, complete. But with Full of
Oh,
Hell,
damn.
it's always Spencer showing me a guitar riff, and we just go from there. You know?
Damn. Huh. Well, I mean that's insane. To develop. Working on writing the guitar riffs. Around a drum part, and kind
Yeah.
of dialing everything back from there. Like I guess I've never even thought of trying that.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's weird. It's I'm never meant for it necessarily to be like that, but that's just how it's come about because
Oh,
I write
plays out.
everything. So it's like I'll think of guitar parts sometimes, and the drum part will come after that. But for the most part, it's always like I have a drum beat in mind, and I'll work a guitar riff around that, which I think helps with being more catchy, probably, like of songs
Okay.
having more of like a catchier groove feel or something. Not to say that Full Out doesn't have that. Just that for Jarhead specifically, I think there's a lot of drummer albums that are, you know what I mean? That I think that because the drummer ends up writing the specific album, it ends up being a little better sometimes, just be catchiness wise, I think. Because I think that having the drum beat start first, it's always, I don't know. There's something weird about it. I hard to explain, I think, because it baffles me sometimes, but it's ends up being cooler sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sure. Okay. I mean, and somebody coming to mind like Neil Peart. My man from Rush. I was just
Yeah.
reading, somebody was kind of disputing online, and somebody was saying that Neil Peart is absolute shit. I was like, man, I think you're missing something, brother.
No, no. There's plenty of other drummers you could say that about. Not Neil Peart
Yeah.
though. No, of course, but
So more recently, as far as the new album, the new Full of Hell that you guys had come out here, tell us about the initial components that you remember working on with Spencer, as far as for Gardens of Burning Apparitions, and what were some of the first tracks that you remember writing and working on?
yeah. I'm trying to think. So like maybe some of the first tracks we did were probably like Eroding Shell was one of them, and Reeking Tunnels was also like one of the first ones. Spencer definitely had like a sound in mind for that one, which is more of like, some noise rock style things mixed with grindcore for the whole album.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the whole vibe of it. So those two songs were already like, those two songs pretty describe the whole album pretty well, I think. And from that point, I also had stuff in my own head of what I wanted, that I was influenced by drummers that I wanted to like slightly shine through on this, like Dale Crover from the Melvins,
Oh yeah, for sure.
Dave Whitty is another, for anybody that plays blast beats, he's
The man.
yes. And another, like, some weird drummers too. I listened to a ton of like drummer albums, like I said. So like Tony Williams is one. He's like Miles Davis drummer. Yeah,
Mhm.
he has some really good drum albums. That's something I try to, for that record. I kind of try to base some of my style off of it. I kind of would think like, what would it be like if those three drummers made a grind record? If you just combined all of them. So like all my parts are kind of based off those three guys for that whole album.
Damn, I love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I was gonna touch on too. As far as Reeking Tunnels and that being not entirely, different from like the rest of the band's catalog, but it was,
It's pretty
something kind
different.
of,
Yeah.
yeah, kind of like something a little bit slower, some more groove into that, and if that was kind of like an excitement out of your playing to be able to do something a little bit different for that.
It was awesome. I love that song. I mean, to play it is fun. It's just it's cool to do something different because I mean we can play blast beats forever, and who knows? I don't think we'll stop right now, but we always have different records in mind, so
Yeah.
it's something that we can leave and come back to. It doesn't matter for us. we're genre expanding, I guess. So
Yeah.
it's whatever we want to play at whatever time. You know what I mean? But that song specifically is awesome. I was really excited when we were. It's one of those things where we're like, I don't know. At first we were doing like writing that song. We're like, I don't know. I mean, it's sick, but like I don't know. It might be too weird for us to do. But I'm real happy with that. You know, it's one of my favorite.
Okay. Yeah. Did that open other, like conversations as far as, where to bring maybe writing newer stuff? Obviously, I don't want to bring up writing new stuff because this fucking album just came out,
Yeah,
uh,
no. It's
but as
all
far as
full of
working
hell.
on,
We're usually like a year already like in advance of releases that haven't been released yet that we've already recorded, and also at the same time we probably already have like I think like four new songs already written just for some
damn.
other stuff that we're like that's coming up with. Yeah, that's one thing about Full House. It's always staying prolific, much more than Jarhead for the most point. But you know, I'm getting it together. Not working the real jobs anymore. It's just music. That's all I'm doing. So I
Damn.
plan
Okay.
to have a bunch, you know, taken care
Okay.
of.
You've mentioned you doing one-offs and whatnot. Are you doing any Jarhead one-offs as far as for this March run that you're doing?
So Jarhead plays one show at the end of that with Full of Hell and St. Vitus in Brooklyn.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, so I'll be double duty that night,
Okay.
which should be pretty exhausting, but it'll be fine. I'll be good. Um,
It's like just dawning on you, like, oh fuck, what did I
but
do?
no, that's all good. I'm the one that signed up for it. Everybody's like, I don't know. I don't think you should play two sets. I'm like, no. I'll prove a point if anything.
Yeah. Have you done that
But
yet? Or is that?
um, no, but play a Jarhead set, then a Full of Hell set.
Yeah.
No, I haven't done that
Oh
yet.
God.
I think there's one time Full of Hell played somewhere maybe, and Jarhead played like way later after, but I don't. No, I haven't done that yet. But
Oh,
I'll be
shit.
fine with it. You know, if anything, it's a nice warm up with the Jarhead set. I'm never too fried after that set. You know, I mean, I
Okay.
will be pretty decently tired, but luckily there's not too much blasting in Jarhead. So I mean, there's vocals, but there's not too much blasting. That's
Okay.
for sure. Yeah.
Okay. If you could, so you guys have this March run coming up, and you guys are throwing together a set list. If you could include any one track that maybe is something that hasn't been played often, or maybe never played live, what would you include in this set list?
Yeah, that's a good one. Um, we're planning some this next like these next months since we Full Hell does Roadburn in Europe, and
Yeah.
we have to play four different sets, four different albums all the way through, and it's pretty much hitting most songs that we haven't played for a while.
Shit, that
There's
rules.
definitely there's definitely I know there's one that I'm thinking of that it's I really love playing, the Melvins cover we do, and we don't do that all the time. So that's probably the number one where I'm like I would like to play that every time if I could, That's it's fun and it's really fun to play. But there's some we started messing around playing older songs now, and we're kind of like, damn, these songs are pretty sick actually. It's kind of fun to mess around with like Black Iron and stuff like that. Some old songs that we haven't played
Yeah.
in like years now. So it's always cool to come back to that and be like, damn, this is how slow I used to play.
Like, yeah, this is a little bit of a chill down session for me.
Yeah,
Jesus,
yeah.
that's crazy. Moving on, so I wanted to focus a little bit more. So obviously with Jarhead here, you had a new album released, this last year as well. And tell us about the first time you were deciding on playing drums and singing simultaneously. I know there's videos on YouTube of you guys being super fucking young still doing this, and where did that idea come from?
Yeah. So like I definitely two bands that pushed me to do that were Dystopia, obviously. Dino is amazing. That's probably the biggest of out of everybody, but also like bands like Iron Lung, stuff like that. The
Yeah.
first
Okay.
um the first like demo of Jarhead is definitely much more like Iron Lung bass style, noisy, fast power violence and stuff. So sound is definitely different now. But those two guys are the main people. I was like, damn. I was just like, I want to play in a band like Iron Lung. So I was like, God, this is my favorite. So that's the start of Jarhead. It was a mix of that and some Dystopia stuff like that. But that's those are the two bands that would really push me to start doing vocals and play drums as well.
Okay.
At first, I was like, I don't. I was like, when I started doing it at first, I was like, man, this is pretty, it's a weird thing to do. You know what I mean? It's like, you get it after a while though. It's like, it's a task to learn it, but it's a it's a well-learned task, I think. It's nice to be able to do it. It's difficult, and there's definitely a long years of like not playing it, not doing vocals and drums as much as I should at the same time, but now I'm pretty confident in playing all the drum parts and doing all the vocals well live.
Okay, sweet. What so as far as being primary writer for the band and going in doing everything, how do you come about playing guitar? Where did that come into play?
I just started, I had never really, my parents had bought me like when I was a kid a guitar and a bass, when I was real young, but I never really picked them up or did too much or learned anything with them. But I would always be like picking up like somebody's acoustic guitar and just messing around. And after a while, I just kept doing it and kept playing it and just trying to play fast and stuff on guitar. Eventually, I just started picking up, just basic chords and things like that. And I started learning songs, and that was what pushed it. Now, I love playing guitar now. That's like, I'll eventually probably play guitar in either a studio project or one other band as well, because I would really like to. I like playing guitar, so it would be cool to do. But that it's randomly something I picked up. I think playing drums helped with it too, really, because maybe I had some like learning from Guitar Hero or some shit, but the playing drums I think really helped. That's like there's certain rhythm I think that's what I mean, that you just pick up naturally from it. So it's like anything. They say like piano is like drums for your fingers, but guitar is almost, if you look at it, almost the same way for the most part. It's pretty similar if you think at it. That's how I think about it. That's how I always thought about it. So it was easy for me.
Okay.
After people are pissed off too, at a certain point, like, you just pick up guitar and you can play them. I don't know. I didn't. I used to suck when I was a kid, so I was like, it's cool to be able to. I just try to play as fast as I can, And then after a while, I was like, oh, I'll tone down and learn some shit. And now you pick it up pretty easy. It's just years of playing, I guess.
Okay. I mean, I guess you saying that, just comes to mind as far as like musically, I was always, kind of there. But like one thing that never was that I was kind of that way for a little while was skateboarding. Were you ever into skateboarding and just had some friends that like they would pick the bitch up and just fucking slash? And it's like, I can't even get this fucking thing off the ground. What are you doing?
I know. I'm not the best. I'm not like, I'm the skating. I'm like, I used to do it all the time, but I'm not like some crazy good skater, and I got tired of fucking my like hands up and shit all the time. So for a while, I hung it up, and people would be like I'm Sam from Jarhead and Flow. He'd always give me shit like, "Oh, you don't skate, you're not a skater, blah blah blah." I'm like, I don't care. I don't want to. I'm done with fucking myself up. His elbow's all fucked up right now, so you know what I mean. Jokes on him.
Damn. Oh shit, that's insane. Oh my god, I had to throw that in there because I kind of made me think of that type of thing, and I guess not to the extreme, but like music has always been something that has just kind of clicked in ear as far as being able to pick up something and kind of go with it. But do you find there's a lot of times, maybe even earlier as far as your guitar playing, that it was more influenced by the cadence of what was going on from basing it off of the drum part?
Yeah, totally. I mean, the first demo Jarhead, I don't think I even played guitar on it because I wasn't like I wrote the parts, but I wasn't like that good yet to be like playing on the demos. You know what I mean? So I teach everybody else the parts, and I was like, that's what you gotta play, and I'll play drums to it and do vocals, and we did the whole demo like that. And then then I started really getting a little better after that first Jarhead demo. Then I probably took it a little bit more serious, you know what I mean? And really started picking up on stuff and writing more. But it wasn't until I got like my own setup that I actually, really started playing a lot.
Sweet, that rules. So as far as product of my environment, first of all, just tell us about this. Has been in the making for some years here, and I know you've mentioned some as far as your dad being a huge influence on just the overall writing process, lyrically looking into some of the work there. What can you tell us about about that, and just as far as what all went into this album finally recording this bad boy?
Yeah, so I mean, basically, like my dad was like pretty crazy dude growing up. At least like there's a lot of stuff I didn't know about and things like that were going on and stuff. Like my dad did like 13 years in like maximum security. He like escaped from prison, so he did like he had like a bunch of crazy stuff. A lot of lyrics, revolve around just crazy shit in my life or crazy shit with my family and other parts of my family or other things that have went on with my father. But yeah, no, it's a lot of weird things as well. It's just like his funeral was the he died last year, and the his funeral was the day that the Jarhead record actually got released, which was fun. It just randomly
Oh
like
wow.
yeah, like put on his date. There's a lot of stuff that revolves around just watching people suffer through the effects of being in prison that long and what happens afterwards. You know what I mean? When you're out, kind of things that like a lot of lyrics touch on that for the record. So all that stuff. It's a lot of coincidental things too that just come about. You know what I mean? Unexplainable things from that happening, and I never knew about it when I was a kid. It's like one day we whole house gets raided by like U.S. Marshals, and there was a corrupt cop that was erasing people's files in South Carolina. So this dude erased my dad's file so that he was still considered escaped. And I had no idea
Oh
about
God.
any of this. They was like, "Oh, your dad never went to prison," all this stuff, and then boom, next thing you know, everybody's handcuffed on the ground, stuff like that, and he takes him down to South Carolina. They made him pay like $6,000 in court fees. They held him for like a month straight for nothing. You know what I mean? Just this cop's in jail now. Actually, it's funny, but yeah, he was doing this to a bunch of people. It's wild. This U.S. Marshal just taking people back to prison after they serve their sentence. My dad didn't have papers from that because it's like who keeps papers from the 80s for the most part because this is before I was born. So there's a lot of
Damn.
things. My brother's a pretty wild dude too. So yeah, a lot of lyrics just surround my life and all the crazy shit I had to deal with growing up for the most part.
Damn. Well, I mean, and I guess, mentioned on like coincidental, there were certain things, reading with like a track name like Life is a Prison, or I know at one point, I think maybe in the lyrics or maybe a song title was something to do with paranoia and sleep.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, I mean, that's interesting. And that's, you know, a tough angle. I mean, as far as, to go about writing and, insane also to hear, I mean, as far as how the shit comes full circle and the fucking
yeah,
asshole goes and fucking now he's in prison for being a schmuck, that's
yeah, yeah. It's
damn, that's
just shit.
fucked, man.
People are wild. South Carolina is pretty crazy too. It's like that's like some of my dad's family is from South Carolina and stuff,
Mm.
but he was doing time in like Angola, so shit like that, Louisiana,
Oh, damn.
So that's yeah, pretty wild stories and stuff. Crazy bodyguard stories for him bodyguarding for like serial killers and shit like that and maximum security.
God.
A lot of those jails and back then too, a lot of them are insane. You know what I mean?
In
It's
the
like,
80s, this complete different time, it seems.
yeah, yeah, completely different. And I can't even imagine what those crazy prisons were like back then too. They seem pretty wild. They got a cell in the American African American History Museum. They have it's like a cell from Angola, actually, the Louisiana prison. It's just a metal sheet, like no blanket or pillow or anything. You know what I mean? That's like they get nothing, and it's like temperatures are like over 100 degrees. You know what I mean? It's
Damn.
wild, full humidity. It's crazy. It's
That's
crazy.
insane. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, so with that, as far as with lyrical content too, are there specific things that maybe over time had changed, or something that had kind of sprung up with? What was your dad ill? I'm sorry to ask. I don't want to dig
Oh no,
too far into.
no, you're good. You're good. No, it's my dad died of coronavirus actually. Yeah.
Oh man.
He was he's like one of those people. It's like kind of like if there was somebody that was gonna get it, if I always knew. I was like, damn, I hope he doesn't ever catch that. But I had already been through so many like crazy
Mm-hmm.
near death experiences as well. You know what I mean? But he had congestive heart failure, so like he had been
Oh
diagnosed with
man.
that already. He was at this. My dad was a power lifter too, so when you get old at that point, he was
Takes a
61.
toll.
Yeah, his body was like just from doing crazy ass, and he's not on steroids because he's in prison. So it's like his body was tore up from that, hip replacements and shit, all kinds of car accidents, stuff like that. So
Mm.
at this point, I was like, damn, but if there was definitely somebody that was like, oh, it would probably get taken out, I was like, yeah, I hope he doesn't get. But my whole family had gotten coronavirus at least last year when it first, and
Ugh.
unfortunately, yeah, he passed from that. But
Damn. What was there anything? I mean, as far as with it, the album, being in the works for so long, was there anything that maybe some stories that you had found out a little bit later in the process that kind of reinvigorated some of the lyrical content, or some some things that you wanted to tell as opposed to what you had written?
yeah, I mean, for a lot of it, I touched on, I think, in there. A lot of it's like, like life is a prison and stuff. That's like it's just about PTSD, basically, like, what happens in prison and really what happens after it, And I've seen a
Yeah.
lot of people be conditioned from going to jail, even if it's just on and off for a bunch of times. Sometimes I know people in my family that would rather be in prison sometimes than be out of it. You know what I mean? It's kind of like I don't know. Some people like to be told what to do and direction and stuff. You get used to it, I guess. It's kind of one of
Yeah.
those things. But, there's definitely, I pretty much touch on everything in that record where it goes from all kinds of shit, different people on drugs in my family. It's pretty much like every, every style of drug you can think of is somebody's got something going on. You know what I mean? So it's,
Mm-mm.
a lot of that, I've seen a lot of fucking drug dealing growing up too. So that's, all that's basically the main theme of the record. It's all that and other things that I'm just like, like paranoia and stuff like that of different shit that you're doing yourself. You know what I mean? It's kind of, there's a lot that touches on that, but
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's mainly around all the crime ridden shit I've had to see or deal with.
A whole different meaning, to the subject of heavy for sure.
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally.
I mean, and that it's one of those things though where art, you have all sorts of different inspirations, and you have all sorts of different things to be able to to tell, and it being your own version of not necessarily to say coping, but to kind of make sense of maybe some of the things that that have happened, or kind of sorting out different shit. And that's the beautiful thing about music, in general, man, is being able to have like some of those stories and not knowing who can relate and who can fucking pick up an album and hear something and be like, God damn, this dude, like, I don't even know him, but I know what he's going through. And,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
there's a lot of that shit, and like you mentioned, the conditioning of people kind of feeling that, jail can be better than the streets and shit like that. Like,
yeah,
that's tough,
yeah,
man.
yeah,
That's
no, man.
rough.
But it is kind of like a little therapy thing or something as well.
Yeah.
At least being able. I like to talk about my dad at the same time too, because I know there's definitely before he passed, he was trying to get like his like crazy ass story out to anybody. I was like talking to a bunch of podcasts and stuff like that, but unfortunately, he was unable to. There's definitely some crazy shit. I wanted to get somebody to write a book for him because it was just wild. I mean, he's not like the most. He's not wasn't illiterate at all, but at the same time, he dropped out of school in like seventh grade. So I mean, he's more street smart than book smart. You know what I mean? But he definitely had a crazy ass story to tell. Long, crazy
Damn.
ass story.
First, I mean, get some time on the road or whatnot. You never know, man. Start writing
Yeah,
some of
man.
this shit down and getting it down, and I mean, make something eternal out of that. Kind of like the
Yeah,
music and the message that you're putting out too. I
yeah, man.
appreciate that. That's
Yeah.
awesome shit.
Oh yeah.
And sorry, I didn't want to get too deep on on the
No, no, it's
subject,
all
or,
good.
or
I,
bring
I
it
like
too
talking about
far.
them.
So okay, cool. Touching on that, on the band as well. There was just a couple of tracks you already had touched on. Life is a prison, but a couple other tracks I just wanted to dig into as far as what may have gone into the songs or just memories of working on them. First off, the track "Fiend" from your split with Perch. How
Yeah,
did that bad boy come about?
that one is just about, really about prescription medication. There's a lot. I was dealing with tons of like, my dad at this point was dealing with a corrupt doctor that was just throwing, I'm sure a lot of people deal with it, but throwing, Xanax down his throat, stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. Just
Yeah.
like you're overloading him, making the dude crazy. So that one's really about that. And Embedded in Your Mind is really about, just a lot of heroin people I got to deal with inside my family. You know what I mean? And like, it sticks with you for sure. It's like
Damn.
that's one drug that'll change your mind forever. You know, I've watched that a lot.
Damn. And I can, I can imagine, I mean, those things too, being in a sense, an inspiring thing to see, from the outside, just as far as like, man, I can't ever fucking, like maybe some of this weed shit, I'm good with, right there, but like kind of expanding into different other things, it's like,
Yeah.
nah, I can't do that, man.
No, yeah, I'm not going that far. Trust me. I mean, I don't have many limits, but not that one. I'm not on that. I'll tell you that.
No, that's insane. Honestly, I mean, I had heard, I looked into some of the lyrics too, and I'm just kind of still like, processing as far as hearing some of the, the stories and things, and
Mhm.
tried to, put some of the pieces together too. And yeah, that's heavy as hell. Do you have anything as far as, are there any other represses of the vinyl? Because I've been trying to scour that motherfucker since I've heard it, and still
Oh,
haven't
a
been able to
product
pick
in
it
my
up.
environment. Yeah,
Yeah.
we there's a second press. We'll talk later. You can say it to me. Yeah,
All right.
it's not it's not it's not to the public unless you're at a show right now. It's not online
Oh,
just
okay.
yet. But
Damn.
the second press is done and it will be up soon. Yeah, yeah.
Sick.
But yeah, I'll get you one. Don't worry.
Sick. Awesome. That's so cool. All right.
Yeah.
While touching on Life as a Prison, that being, the finale track, I wanted to ask what comes to mind as far as maybe a couple of your favorite last tracks on an album, a finale track. What comes to mind as far as, some an album that you loved or maybe don't love and you just love the fucking end track?
Yeah. Oh God, that's a hard one. Let me think. Let me think. Damn, that's a really good one. Yeah, I really like the ending of Bitches Brew by Miles Davis is a really
Oh
good one.
yeah.
That's a weird one,
Okay.
but it's something that's one I really like. There's a weird one, but um oh, it's one outro on one of the Project Pat CDs that I have is amazing. Yeah,
Okay.
it's the song Ballers. That's what it is.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
They do
Okay.
two different versions, but the ending version is so sick. It's one of my favorites.
I love that. I love it.
Hmm.
That's awesome. Perfect. And I love too that it was outside of the realm of metal or anything heavy.
Yeah, man.
That
No. I don't.
makes it even better.
That's the same thing as like I don't want to go to a metal show and listen to metal between the bands. You know what I mean? Like at home,
Right.
I'm listening to metal, but I'm not. I don't base my life around it.
Totally, totally. It's always been, something with mixed bills, especially. I think
Oh
that's
yeah.
something that excited me, as far as this package that you guys have coming up here in March, with like the noise aspect and with Thou, and then having Uniform and their kind of take on it, and then your guys, and then Converge being more or less, just straight fucking balls, to the wall and to the point.
Yeah.
Super excited for that. I
Yeah.
always appreciate, a little bit of a change throughout the set, and not just a
Yeah.
pummeling
Perfect
breakdown the whole
bill.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a perfect bill for sure.
Yeah, for sure. All right, look, this has been awesome, man. I do
Yeah,
have
man.
one finale here really quick, but if you want to let everybody know, what you have going on musically, or you guys are out on the road, and to find any of the stuff that you have going on, this is your time, my man.
Yeah, well, March, I got this Converge tour. March, it's 2.5 weeks long, and then I got after that Europe in April. We have Roadburn with Full of Hell, and we got some other shows in some other countries as well. It's about like 9 days. And then Jarhead will be doing a long summer tour. So
Oh shit!
Jarhead will finally do a full U.S. and Canada, uh, every place possible. So
Damn.
that's something to look out for. Besides that, I'm just working on Jarhead LP number 2 and also solo record. I'm gonna do a solo drum record. So
Oh wow.
that'll hopefully be completed and recorded by the end of the summer. That's my. I always push back the date a little farther, but that's what I'm aiming for, at least for it to be finished.
Damn. No shit. And not to like reach or have you put out anything that you're not wanting to. Is there
Oh yeah.
other artists that you're having working on this as far as like sounds or different things, or is this specifically like a solo drum?
Well, it's a solo drum record, but there's also going to be a lot of features of like either friends in other bands, people that influence me as well. I'm not gonna put any names out there yet,
Yeah, for
but
sure.
I definitely got some cool features for the record. It's definitely some. It's not unexpected, but it's not. It's also it's a weird record. It's not too
Oh
much
man.
metal. It's more on the same like more of on like like a Painkiller or Naked City like Zorn style, but mainly focused on drums. You know what I mean?
Sweet. That's
Yeah,
awesome. I look forward to that. Yeah,
yeah,
that's sick. Very cool things being on the road, writing new stuff, having all sorts of new shit coming out. It's sick, man. I appreciate
yeah,
that.
man.
Uh
Yeah.
Let me ask you last, before I let you go here. While on the road, tell us about or bring us back to something that you were gifted, purchased, or found while on the road that's too valuable to get rid of. What's something
Well,
that you have?
the most valuable thing that I ever got on the road, which actually was stolen in our van when it got stolen,
Oh.
which out of all the shit I lost, which is like all my clothes, I've only went left all my damn clothes in there and everything when we got the van stolen and all of my shit because it was my birthday the day before, so I was hungover. But I got a ride from Igor Cavalier that I used in Full of Hell for the longest time. That was like my prized possession, and he gave it to me we did the Cavalera tour, so he gave it to me at the end of that tour. Um, he let me use it the whole tour, and it was a Z Custom 20-inch Mega Bell ride, and he had it for a long ass time before he gave it to me. So that was like I was
Oh my
always saying like,
God.
if I broke it, I'll get him sign it, I'll put it on my wall or whatever. But that's the only thing, and the goddamn my whole drum set got stolen. But the only fucking thing I cared about is this one cymbal that got stolen. You know what I mean? But there's something I wish I
Fuck.
could have back. That's the only prized possession that I was like, that was the best thing I ever got on tour for sure. That's number
Man.
one, you know. But hey,
So insane.
yeah, it happens. You know, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do, right? But that's the one thing I was like, damn, I ain't getting that back. So
Man, that sucks.
yeah,
What a
no,
bummer. I mean, there's
yeah.
definitely some cool stories that come out of that. That's a shitty one. I'm sorry to hear that.
Hey,
Jesus.
well, oh well. So it's probably sitting in some redneck's living room or something like that. You know.
Motherfuckers. If anybody knows, if any way that that this is the symbol, give this shit back. Jesus
Atlanta,
H.
Georgia,
Yeah.
Atlanta, ATL.
Oh my God. All right, man.
Mm.
This has been absolutely awesome. I really
Yeah,
appreciate
thank
the
you.
time and appreciate the work that you've put into all the stuff that you do, and look forward to all the new things you have coming out, my man. Thank you very
Yeah,
much once
thank
again.
you so much, man. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Yep. You take care. Stay healthy and stay
Yeah,
safe,
man.
man.
Man, you as well, man.
See
Thanks.
ya.
He's a lo-fi horror guy. Yeah, he's kind of a guy, but he is so lo-fi a horror guy. Yeah. Lo-fi horror guy has been recorded in front of a live studio audience.